Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
We've just got back from a 6-week, 3,500 mile road trip in our VW campervan around Europe and getting all the way down to Croatia. And in this video, what we want to do is share with you the 12 things that we could not live without on that trip.
So one of the first things that we couldn't do without on our van life travels is a duckboard and a mat. The duckboard just keeps us elevated off the ground, whether it's muddy or it's really grassy, or if we're in the forest with lots of pine needles, and the mat just helps keep all of the muck out of the van. Tied with that, we always just have a little brush that's handy next to the door so we can sweep all the rubbish out. But the duckboard has been a lifesaver at keeping all that mess out of the van.
One of the hardest things to manage when we are on a road trip in such a small van is storage space. So we try and make as much use outside the van as we possibly can. So we have bought these really cheap as chips crates, and we don't store anything valuable in them, but they're in the van when we're traveling, and then they just pop underneath the van when we are stationary. They do get a little bit battered. As I say, they were not expensive and we just keep replacing them. This is a reminder to us not to sit on them or lean on them because they do crack, but they're perfectly waterproof. They're under the van and they're nice and safe.
When we're travelling in the van, life is too short for just having instant coffee. So we always travel with a means of making great coffee. So in the mornings we tend to have a nice cup of cafetiere coffee that we use ground coffee from this fab little coffee grinder that Richard was gifted from his school when he retired, with some nice fresh coffee beans. If we stop and we just want a quick cup of coffee, we tend to make it using this little filter. It's just boiling hot water, coffee in there, great coffee. And we store it all in this neat little white storage box that will hang pretty much anywhere in the van, particularly easy for Richard to get to the coffee when I'm still in bed and he can't get into the cupboards where we store things.
We absolutely love cooking outdoors in the summer. There are a number of reasons for that. One, it makes us feel good. 2, it stops the van smelling. And 3, it's just a little bit quicker and more convenient to hook the Cadac up. We use the Cadac Safari Chef 2. I think it's been rebranded recently because it hooks straight into our LPG tank. So we can get this thing burning within a couple of minutes of arriving at our park up. And it's just so flexible for cooking outside. So most of the stuff we do on a hot plate, but you can replace the hot plate with a pan stand, and we've done all sorts of jambalayas and cooking outside, and there's something quite wholesome about that, cooking on a pan outside. It does have a lid so that you can use it a little bit like an oven, and the pièce de résistance that we really like is it's also got a pizza stone so that you can heat it up. It will get up to temperature and you can cook your own fresh pizzas on the road. Obviously as well, you can use the Cadac as a traditional gas barbecue. It does come with a griddle plate, but after 6 years of using it, you can see absolutely how battered this is. We've tried to use a non-stick matting on top and that's also battered. So we do need to replace this, and one of the benefits of the Cadac system being completely modular is that you can buy any of these parts for it. So yeah, that's on our wish list for next time. Now, we use this so much when we go up to Scotland, we are hoping to do a bit of a review of the Cadac cooking system and also perhaps take you through some of our favourite recipes on here because it is so versatile.
Over the 6 weeks we were away in both really hot coastal beach holiday areas like Croatia, but we were also in the high Dolomites mountains at 2,000 metres, and we had much variance in the temperature at night. So we did make sure that we were covered for that with sleeping with a duvet. I don't like sleeping bags at all, but we had a duvet, a sheet in case it was really hot and that's all we had to sleep under, but we also had several blankets, so if it was really cold when we were high up, that we could layer them up. So we've got a nice sheet for just when we're at the beaches and we're hot, duvet most of the time, and lots of layers of blankets. The more layers you've got, the better if it's really cold.
Because we travel so extensively on our road trips, we are not ones for having a fixed awning or a big awning, But when we go out on our summer trips, we do like to travel with a fly sheet awning. Now, it may not look particularly small, but it is smaller than most awnings that you get with VW campervans. And this one is from Funky Leisure, and it's just a really simple system. It's a lightweight fly sheet that goes into the awning rail, and it helps us in a number of ways. One, it makes the van feel a little bit bigger, so we've got a little bit of outdoor space that we can claim for our own, and it feels like the van spreads outside. Secondly, it's really good in the heat because it keeps the sun off. And thirdly, when we have that inclement weather and it buckets it down, it's amazing what one small fly sheet can do in terms of just keeping the weather out of the van. And it's saved our skin on a number of occasions on this trip, and we would not be without it.
Something we really struggled with for years when we were travelling on the road was, where do we store our fresh fruit and vegetables? If we put them in the cupboard, they get really quite hot because the fridge seems to emanate a lot of heat when you're in hot countries. It's working that hard. So we did see on a campsite in Zermatt a Swiss couple that just had an ingenious hook, and we bought this for £1 from our local DIY store, and they just hooked it somewhere in their pop top with veg bags. So now we travel with a fruit bag, a veg bag, and we just put them on there and hook them wherever we can.
This next bit of kit we do feel a little bit indulgent about, which is the Helinox chairs, but you do need to understand the context of when we got them. We bought them for us as a lockdown treat when we just could not get out in the van. At the time, it stung. They felt really expensive. They still are really expensive, but they are bomb-proof, and a good few years on, these are just like new. They're really comfy, as you can see. They are dead quick to set up. They pack down mega small, and they fit in the boot space that we've got. And there are cheaper copies of these now on the market, and from what we believe of the reviews, they are really good. But for us, you know, spending that money 4 years ago was money well spent, and they are just like new, and they are going to keep serving us for year after year, hopefully.
So I'm pretty sure everybody that has a VW campervan will travel with a table of some sorts. In the summer, we have a summer table that we literally bought for probably a £5 from Aldi, because we can have it both inside and outside. In the winter, we do have the proper table that we had made for the van when it was converted that clips inside, saves a little bit of space. But we also found this ingenious tiny little table when we were in Go Outdoors a few years ago, and it's great because it just gives you that little bit of extra work surface when you're cooking outside. And actually this one fits just inside the van when we're cooking inside in both summer and winter, and they fold into each other to tuck nicely behind the driver's seat so they stay out of the way as well.
Just to disprove the myth that all things VW have to be expensive, we have got 2 cloth shopping bags that we bought from a French supermarket. They are so much more than shopping bags. Obviously, when we're in a VW camper, we have to shop for fresh food every 3 to 4 days, so you always need shopping bags. But secondly, they are really good for keeping your shower kit in and making sure it doesn't get wet in the shower and going to and from the shower blocks. And then we've got a third bag that is an amazing laundry bag, because if you've ever tried to keep dirty laundry in plastic bags, you'll know it starts to stink after a few days. So we've got a dedicated bag for our laundry as well.
For those of you that watched the Croatia video, you might have felt a little bit sorry for me because I was making a really delicious Aperol spritz, but we didn't have any ice. Well, we discovered that Rich has changed the leisure batteries in the van, and the fridge is working really well because we were in really sunny climes, so we could make ice. So I purchased myself this natty little ice cube tray maker for about €1 from one of the French supermarkets, and it was amazing. I could have gin and tonic, I could have Aperol spritz, or actually a proper soft drink, and have nice cold ice with it. It was a game changer when we were in Croatia. So the final thing on our list, we can't actually have with us. All the way around Europe for 6 weeks, we travelled with a really nice big pot of basil, which is amazing for many reasons. We can use it for cooking. We do a lot of fresh tomato and Italian dishes, so we used it a lot. It makes the van smell really nice when we're travelling, and actually it's nice having a little bit of greenery in the van as well, so it kind of brightens up the van.
But Basilique can't be with us because Jackie wouldn't let me bring it through customs because we're not allowed to bring anything alive, so we had to ditch Basilique after 6 weeks of travel.
We nurtured this basil plant for 6 weeks, but yeah, I am quite paranoid and OCD about bringing things back through customs, so it did have to go. So that's it. It is not an exhaustive list. There are loads of things that obviously we needed to be able to take with us to have a great time in Europe, but there were just 12 little things that did make the difference, the icing on the cake, and made our lives easier. We are not sponsored in any way for any of these products. We have mentioned where some of them came from, just out of interest because we get asked a lot. A few of the products are in our Amazon shop.
So what we want to know is what's on your list. Is there anything that we've missed out? So mention them in the comments below. We'd love to hear. But that's about it from us. So we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.